how did you find these things, or were there friends, were there recommendations? Was it the internet? Like, how were you discovering certain things for you? Because I feel like that's quite difficult for people to find.
I mean, it's easy in LA
Yes,
because you're
LA,
surrounded by people who are, there's a crystal shop on every corner, genuinely. And
there's a tarot card reader.
Truly. Yeah. And I think I was always like, oh, tarot's interesting. That happened, a couple of years ago. I bought my first tarot deck. And Reiki, actually, a makeup artist on Riverdale who worked on the first and second season, she was a Reiki master, and she was telling me about it, and one day performed Reiki on me, and I was like, whoa, this is so cool. And so I was always super interested in diving into that, and then the lockdown just kind of gave me a boost to explore that, because I was like, damn, I could use some healing. Maybe I should heal myself. And then it also just came from, I think, the word wellness. Like, what is wellness? And I Googled wellness retreats in California. And I was like, okay, maybe not a retreat. I don't really want to be doing yoga and eating vegetables for a week. Like, not necessarily my vibe. I wanted to be a little bit more personalized and grounding for just me. And I found my sound healer in Mount Shasta. And so I went and saw her by myself and really kind of had a firsthand experience of sound healing and past life readings and cord cutting ceremonies, and not astral projection, but just sort of your astral bodies and things like that. It was like this world that was suddenly opening up to me that was I've always just found this kind of the afterlife, I guess, very fascinating. I've always been terrified and intrigued at the idea of ghosts and like what's that? Like, what is talking to a spirit? It's so weird. And I've always felt like I've been very highly intuitive, kind of in-tuned person. Oh, I see symbols and I see things are very serendipitous, and there's all these coincidences that are happening. And so I also was looking into, and to be honest, TikTok was
after all of that was not what I was expecting. I was not expecting.
But there is such a spiritual side of TikTok that is so vast.
Can you put me onto that side?
Yes. I mean, it's the algorithm. You start seeing one video and then you're seeing a million of them. And I was stumbling on these pages of just like highly intuitive people. And I reached out to one of them and said, do you offer mentorships or something? And she said, yeah. And so I did a mentorship with a psychic for 3 months, where she taught me how to heal my ancestral trauma. And I believe we all have psychic abilities. It's a matter of training your brain. Some people are just born being more in tune and tapped into that skill, but I do believe that we all have the ability to tap into them. So I was really just trying to learn how to do that because I thought that was so fascinating. She did teach me how to talk to the deceased. Wow. Not that I can do it well. I will say I feel that I've only successfully done it like twice or 3 times. And even then, while you're doing it, you're sort of like, am I doing this? Like,
most people, when they would hear these things, there's judgment about, that's just wacky, or that's whatever. Like, but what I'm seeing in you, which I'm appreciating, is just, hey, I'm trying to be me. Like, I right now I'm exploring this. Right now I'm experimenting with this. I'm learning this. Maybe it's something that I believe is true. Maybe it isn't, but I'm at least doing what I want to do now without worrying about what everyone else thinks and believes. I mean, when I chose to become a monk at 21 going on 22, 99% of my friends thought I was absolutely insane, because they're like, why would you do that? Like, why would you not want to go make money and date more women and get into another relationship and get a home or whatever it was? And so I know what it feels like to make a decision that most people around me feel doesn't make any sense and is completely against the grain of, but it was the best decision I ever made in my life. And I have zero regrets about that decision or how I spent that 3 years. And I look back at it all the time. But at the time, everyone around me thought I was making the worst decision. My family said I was committing career suicide. My friends were completely confused. My society and people in our community were like, oh, you're letting your parents down and you'll never get a job again. There's just so much judgment. But I was just trying to do what felt right in my intuition at this time, and it wasn't harming anyone. And I think that's the, that to me is like the barrier where it's like, well, you're trying something, it's not harming anyone. Yeah. It's not harming you. It's not harming anyone around you. And if that's allowing you to explore a part of yourself, you just never know where it could go. So it's very comforting for people to hear about being into unique things, because it's almost like we all followed the same people. We all watch the same things, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it's nice to have a few things that are unique. A break from the norm. Exactly, a break from the norm.